everybody, it's Lori again and welcome back to my kitchen. Hey guys, today I would like to share another one of the wonderful canning recipes by Amber May. Amber May is the founder and creator of the group SNUG, that's S-N-U-G, Canning to Preserve Our Future, on Facebook. We have a great group full of all sorts of experienced and non-experienced canners. So no matter where you are in your journey, feel free to come along and join us. We would love to have you there. Now, the recipe that I am going to be sharing today is baked beans and ham. And this is absolutely, it's a wonderful recipe. It has a little ham flavor. It has a little barbecue type flavor. Just really, really yummy. Now, I am probably going to do things just a little bit differently than Amber does because that's the way I roll, guys. But she's come to expect that out of me. So hopefully she just rolls her eyes and laughs. But anyway, I'm going to read the recipe as she wrote it to you. Roger will place it up here. And if you would like to, at the end of the recipe, just pause the video and go ahead and take a screenshot of that recipe. Otherwise, if you come and join SNUG, you will have access to all of Amber's recipes. So let me just read this to you here and then we will proceed. For baked beans and ham by Amber May. Your ingredients will be 3 pounds of dried navy or white beans, 3/4 cup of molasses, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons salt, 2 tablespoons of ground dry mustard, 1/2 cup ketchup, 1 cup of brown sugar, 3 large yellow onions chopped, bacon drippings, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, some cooked ham, 3 bay leaves, 5 cloves of garlic minced, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. All right, so we are going to just kind of go ahead and I'll walk you along how I do it. Now, Amber has given a couple of different options on how to do things along the way, but off the bat, I prepared my beans a little bit differently than what she suggests in her recipe. As in her suggestion, she has you boil the beans in fresh water and then allow them to soak for a while, and then you drain them and you boil them again. That's kind of what they call, or what we all call, the quick soak method. Okay. What I do is I do the slow soak method. And so last night before I went to bed, and I will tip you down here, last night before I went to bed, I went ahead and I put my 3 pounds of white beans in just a big old pot of water, and I allowed them to soak overnight. All right. Now this morning I've gotten up and I drained that water off and rinsed my beans off. And now I've got them back in the pan with some fresh water. Now, in her recipe, she does specify 7 quarts of water. And after she does the quick soak method, where she brings them to a boil and then she drains and rinses them. And then when she gets that fresh water and brings them back to a boil for a certain amount of time, she specifies 7 quarts of water. Because after that second boiling period, then you are going to retain that water as part of the sauce for these baked beans and ham, okay? I have allowed my beans to just soak in cold water overnight. This morning I drained them and I rinsed them, and then I put them back in the pan with fresh water. And right now I have 4 quarts of water in this pan because that's about all my largest pan will hold is the beans and about 4 quarts of water. And what I am going to do is I'm going to bring these up to a boil, and I'm going to boil them for approximately 30 or 45 minutes. All right. Now, while my beans are boiling for that 30 to 45 minutes, what I'm going to do in my other pan is now if you don't have bacon drippings, you can use lard, okay? Feel free to do that. Amber suggests to put bacon drippings in a pan and to just saute your fresh chopped onions and garlic in those bacon drippings. I've used up all of my bacon grease, and so all I had on hand was some lard that I have rendered. And so that's what I'm using for my drippings, is just a little bit of lard. And so I'm going to get my fresh chopped onions and my garlic sauteing in that other pan while my beans are boiling and partially cooking, okay? So I'm gonna get that all underway, and then I'll come back for the next step. Hey guys, I wanted to come back and tell you, while I'm sauteing my onions and bringing my beans to this primary boil, I like to add my bay leaves in with my beans because we eventually have to fish those bay leaves out. You know, you shouldn't eat bay leaves because they actually can cut your intestines. And so we always remove the bay leaf from the food. And also, if you leave it in there when you can items, the taste of bay becomes really overpowering. So what I do is I just go ahead and I put those bay leaves in my beans while they are boiling for that first primary 30 to 40 minute boil. All right, because what that's going to do is that's really going to release a lot of that good bay leaf flavor, and then I'm going to easily be able to find them and pick them out of there before we do the rest of the sauce. So that's just another little thing I probably do a little bit differently. But anyway, so just going to wait until my beans boil for 30 to 40 minutes. And I think I'm almost done with my onions, and I'll just set those aside until I come back and we continue the recipe. So we'll see you in just a little bit. All right, so my beans have been at a low boil for approximately 40 minutes. And so this is the point in time that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find and fish out those bay leaves that have been boiling with the beans. Oh, there, I saw it. There it is. And there's my third one. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I am going to get you aimed down just a little bit more here. There we go. I'm gonna add all of my onions and garlic that we have sauteed and got softened up and partially cooked. And then I'm going to add all the remaining ingredients, your ketchup and your molasses and your powdered mustard and the Worcestershire, all of those good things, brown sugar. And I had them sitting in my bowl here, just waiting. So my brown sugar has kind of gotten mushy on the bottom of my container, mushy and stuck. This is all of that wonderful barbecue flavor that we are adding to the recipe. All right. Now, as I said, I only had 4 quarts of water in my pan because I'm just working with kind of a limited size pan. Now, if you have a larger pan, you can go ahead and put all 6 or 7 quarts of water in. But what I'm going to do is I am going to slowly, or on a low boil, a little bit more than a simmer, but not exactly a rolling boil, I'm going to cook these on my stovetop for an hour, okay? And as needed, I have all of my additional quarts of water just sitting here and waiting. As needed, I'm going to add more water to this as the beans sit and simmer and cook. Okay, so we're just going to bring that up to a nice simmer, low boil, and periodically stir them, because this is a point, especially because you have that molasses and that brown sugar in there, guys. This can stick to the bottom of the pan really bad. Your beans can burn and your sugars can burn. So you really want to be attentive to this through this hour-long boiling or low boil simmering time, period. And so every once in a while, I'm just gonna come and I'm gonna put some more water in, okay? As it cooks, the beans absorb the water, some of the moisture does get evaporated off, and then we will come back when this is completed and we're ready to load our jars. And remember, we have wonderful ham to add yet too, but I'm gonna do that individually in each jar. So we'll see you in an hour. All right, so I changed horses midstream because I got to thinking about the fact, oh yeah, I'm doing about 14 or 15 pints and I need to double stack these. And my hot water bath canner is a large one, but it is not tall enough to double stack in. And so I decided that I'm going to hot water bath using my Presto 23 because it's tall enough to double stack the pints in. So halfway through my boiling process with my beans here, I went ahead and I got my canner prepared and I heated the water up, okay? Because you're working with a hot product, you want a hot canner, all right? Doesn't have to be boiling hot, but it has to be right on the verge of it, okay? Because you've been boiling these beans. They're super, super hot. So now I'm going to show you how, well, actually, I'll talk about the consistency of these first of all. I did, and I lost a spoon almost there. I did through my boiling and cooking process here, I added periodically an entire quart of water, you know, just a little bit of at a time as I needed it. But now you can see that my beans are, you know, they're almost fully reconstituted and my sauce is thickening at this point in time. And what I really suggest to you, so that you know like how long to cook your beans, I really suggest that you just go ahead and fish out a bean and taste test it and see what the texture feels like in your mouth. Your bean should be 3/4 done. It's going to continue cooking and softening in the canning process itself, but you want it to be at least 3/4 of the way there. All right, so just take a bean and just test that in your mouth. Now my bean is still firm, but it's not crunchy, and it's definitely not cooked all the way. So this is about perfect. All right, so now let's get down to the real business. I'm going to tip you down here. And what I do is I'm going to put 1/4 cup of chopped ham in each one of my pint jars. And I have cut my ham fairly small, okay? Now, all of your ham that you buy in the store, pretty much all of it, is fully cooked. It's cooked in the smoking process. So this is already pre-cooked, all right? And just 1/4 cup per pint jar. I feel like that is plenty of ham for my ham and beans. Now you can add this to your heart's content, but you must keep in mind that your beans are going to expand a little bit more in the canning process inside of that jar. So you don't want to overfill with beans. If you're going to put more meat in than what I am doing, you don't want to overfill your beans because they will take up all the room and even possibly overflow if you have a lot of meat in your jar. So just, you know, adjust accordingly. But I feel 1/4 cup of ham per pint is plenty for a really good flavor. And every once in a while, you get that nice little meaty bite. So I just go ahead and add that to all of my jars. I have 15 pints here, by the way, guys. Get those bad guys back in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Well, first I'm going to find my hot pads. Here we go. I've turned my beans off at this point in time. I'm going to just slide them a little bit closer to my jars. And what I am going to do at this point in time is I am going to take a slotted spoon, and you can see my meat is in the bottom of the jar there. just a single layer of ham. We are going to take a slotted spoon and we are going to fill our beans and onions and garlic, all that good stuff that's in there. We are going to fill to approximately 3/4 of the jar full. Now this is where I said you don't want to overfill, because these beans are going to expand a bit in the canning process. So really check your height on that. And I do almost 3/4 full. I think I can add just a few more beans here on this one. There we go. 3/4, oops, I'm a little bit too high. Sorry guys. 3/4 full. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to ladle in some of that wonderful sauce. And we will fill this all the way to 1-inch headspace. All right, actually, I'm just going to leave that right in there. Then, just like any other canning application, you are simply going to wipe that rim and place your lid and ring. Now, like I said, I am going to hot water bath these today. And the reason why I'm choosing to do that is because of the sugar that's in this recipe. And high sugar items tend to scorch and burn in a pressure canner. And that's why I am electing to hot water bath. So I'm going to get this screaming hot product into my hot canner. Turn on the light here and check where we're at again as far as our camera angle is concerned. All right, so the ham's already in there. We're going to scoop in our beans with a slotted spoon. To 3/4 of a full jar. Now your ham juice, your ham will release a little bit of juice, but I don't have a whole lot of ham in my jars, so I'm not going to have to worry about like that additional fluid. Plus, your beans will absorb some more of this juice as they can in the canner. All right, looks beautiful. You guys, this smells so yummy too. Amber is a great recipe author. And we are all so grateful that she shares her recipes with us. And into that hot water. All right, I'm going to do one more for you. 1/4 cup ham in the bottom of my jar. Fill with beans to 3/4 full. And finish with your fluid. Wipe with a clean wet washcloth. Get your lid and ring on and get that into your hot canner. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and continue filling all of my jars and get them into the canner. And then I'm going to hot water bath these for 3 hours. If you prefer to pressure can them, pints would be pressure canned at 75 minutes. If you would like a quart-sized jar, you can pressure can your quart-sized jar for 90 minutes. So I'm going to get these processed, and I will be back to show you the beautiful results. All right, as life sometimes does, last night during my hot water bath process for my beans, just at the end of the process, I received an important phone call that I had to take, and it took me a while on the phone. And so I completed my 3-hour hot water bath process, and I turned off my canner and allowed my jars to remain in the water for about another 10 minutes, just to allow them to, the whole hot water bath process to come down in temperature just a little bit before I lifted the jars up out of the water. Now what that does is it cools the temperature just enough so that when you lift those jars out of the boiling hot water, you're not coming into cooler room air and causing siphoning issues. So I was on the phone, I couldn't record removing the jars from the canner, but it's just life. So I'm going to page down, and I'm also going to show you something else funny that happened. Here are my wonderful jars of completed beans, and I have washed up the majority of the jars, but I did want to show you something. Roger refreshed the salt in our water softener, and I always add cream of tartar to my canning water. And so I didn't realize that he had refreshed the salt in the water softener, which makes our water, our hard water, a lot softer. And I can use even less cream of tartar than normal when our water is soft. But anyway, I was accustomed to the last couple of weeks, our water was on the more hard level. And so I was using the amount that I always do when our water is hard. And then he went ahead and changed put more salt in the softener. And so the water was a lot softer than what I expected, but I used the same amount as when our water is hard. And my jars, of course, and this is not unusual when you're using cream of tartar, my jars came out looking like they are covered in flour. And I have shared that this can happen in other videos also. I've shared this information. But this literally, you guys, this cream of tartar, when it comes out looking like it's covered in flour, it just means that you're using a little bit too much cream of tartar for your water quality. But you guys, this stuff wipes off super, super simple. You can see where I just swipe my finger there on the lid. See? It just washes right off. But I just wanted to show you, they kind of look like a train wreck when I was done. But then the ones that I have went ahead and washed up in the sink, that cream of tartar just comes right off. But anyway, let's get back to the real point of this, which is look at these absolutely beautiful, beautiful jars of beans and ham. And as you can see, the beans have kind of expanded just a little bit more, but since we had cooked them to about that 3/4 done stage of being reconstituted and cooked, they didn't overly expand because they were mostly expanded at that point in time, and they have absorbed a little bit of the fluid. The fluid has gotten thicker, and yet they're not dry in this jar either. You can just see that it's almost just the perfect consistency for beans. Anyway, I'm going to page you down here. And let's see, where do I need to be stationed? We'll get these beautiful jars out of the way. And there, put it right there. You should be able to see it. I'm going to pop this jar of beautiful beans and ham open. And just dump it in a jar. Oh my goodness, you guys. That smells absolutely amazing. Seriously, just so, so yummy. These are so good. I am going to go and, you know what? I don't think I brought a spoon over. I'm going to get a spoon and I'll be right back. All right, got my handy dandy spoon. You can see the beautiful chunks of ham that were in the bottom of our jar. And now I set the dog off. You can hear her barking in the background. And you can also see how beautiful and intact these beans are. No, they do not turn to mush. They do not cook apart if you soak your beans first. They are beautiful, beautiful, held together. Sadie, nobody's here, honey. It's okay. No, 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 no. It's okay. No barky. No barky, please. All right. You guys, my house is a circus. Okay. Anyway, back to our beans here. They're beautiful in retaining their shape and also in texture and consistency. They are fully cooked, fully rehydrated, but they are not mushy at all. I am not a huge fan. Sadie, can you please stop sassing? Thank you. I am not a huge fan of beans, just simply because they give me a lot of dietary distress, which, by the way, that's another thing that I did want to tell you. Pre-soaking and rinsing your beans actually decreases that gassy nature of beans. So that's an extra little tip. If you are canning from a dry state where you just pour your dry beans into your jar and then fill it with broth or water or whatever, those beans are going to cause you more gas issues than if you pre-soak and rinse your beans. It reduces that problem. But anyway, I am not a huge fan of beans because they do cause me intestinal issues. Just because I have some other things going on in there, but nothing life-threatening or anything. Just some of those little things that we all have to live with. But anyway, I will take a taste here and kind of describe the texture for you and the taste, all right? Oh, you guys. Sweet. A little touch of molasses. I have to chew them, but they are not crunchy. They are just the perfect texture. They're soft and fully cooked, but not mushy. This method, honestly, you guys, soaking your beans first and then canning them is what I always prefer to do when I'm using them in chili or when I am making something like this, or even bean soup. I just always prefer to soak my beans first and then parboil them, for that 30-minute time, like I did yesterday. In fresh water, boil them for 30 to 60 minutes before then going ahead and continuing the recipe and the canning process. You guys, I swear, it's to me and in my personal opinion, it is the best way to do dried beans. But anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our bean canning adventure. I appreciate you spending your time with me again today. I appreciate Amber May always sharing her wonderful recipes with all of us. Again, we invite you to come and join us on the Snug group on Facebook. That's SNUG, Canning to Preserve Our Future. As always, God bless you all and happy canning, everybody.